Hey everyone, welcome to Threads YouTube, Threading It Together series. Lori here again, and excited to be here with my colleague and friend Stella today. And we are talking about hiring for development positions. And in this series with this topic, we are specifically today talking about how to write a job description that attracts great candidates. So we're recording this in May of 2022. The Great Resignation is a serious thing. There are a lot of jobs posted out there with not as many people looking at them. So that job description is super important when someone comes across it. You want to catch their attention and hopefully have them apply to the position. So Stella, where would you start? If a candidate's coming across your job description in the middle of hundreds, how do you make it stand out? What's your first thought?
Well, my first thought is really making sure that you are capturing the spirit of your organization. So, the tendency can be to write a really, serious job description. If your cause and if your organization is a very serious organization dealing with very serious problems, then that's great. But if you're more of a playful organization or a youth-based organization and one that has a lot of joy or liveliness, you don't want to sound too serious in your job description. You want to make sure whether it's in the About Us section or in the qualities of good candidates that you really reflect what your organization is about and what you're like.
Yeah, I agree. This is your first chance to present your organization, including your culture and the spirit of working there. And I think that's a great point, Stella. About us right up front. Make sure you're really telling about us.
And don't just put your mission statement there. Really talk about, to Lori's point that she just said, don't just say, oh, here's our mission and then get straight into the job description. That's not really going to necessarily reflect and attract the type of candidate that you want. You really want them to know right away, hey, this is a place I really want to work because it aligns with my values or my mission personally.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of the job description coming next of the About Us section, I would add, spend time on that job description. You do not want that job description to be the kitchen sink that, hey, anything that was ever invented about fundraising, you're going to do it. Because guess who wants that job? Anyone? Stella, you want that job?
Nope.
Yeah. Even if you're looking for a generalist, how do you make that more specific, Stella?
Yeah, I think, that is something that one piece of this I've noticed is a lot of organizations will look at other job descriptions and just kind of copy and paste that. And especially because a lot of times they're written by either your HR or your executive director, especially if you're a smaller organization, and you might not necessarily know a whole lot about what it is that's going to be in their day-to-day. So I would say, be really specific. Think about what your organization needs at this point in time. Don't be too broad because then you're not really telling them either it's the kitchen sink and nobody wants to do that job, or you're not really telling them and giving your candidates a good idea of what they're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. For example, if events are a big part of your organization, then make sure you have a component of it in there and that it's not weighed the same as grant writing. If that's not a big part of your organization. So make sure that you're hitting on and thinking about what you really want this person to do, but maybe even perhaps putting some weights or percentages of time broken down on what that person's going to be doing on a day-to-day or monthly or annual basis.
Yeah, I like that. The percentage of the buckets of work is super helpful. If again, think about the candidate. They are scanning lots and lots of postings that probably all look very similar. So they're going to start with the headings and they're going to work their way down on what are the big buckets of work and how does that divide up over time. And like Stella said, what's my day like? What's my week like? And giving a sense of that through the job description would really help someone to just understand if they're a match with their skills and whether it's something that they want to spend their time doing. And so, excellent. And then let's see, where do we kind of take this from here? I think it's also really helpful to be really clear on what candidates need to be good at to meet your specific needs. What do you think, Stella? As far as those extra pieces, how many of those qualities do you add in?
Yeah, I think, you know, you need to have a balance because I know that there can be some trepidation around writing a job description that's, you know, 3 pages long and you don't want someone to have all of that in there. But again, I think it's a combination of the first two things that we talked about, making sure that it reflects the spirit of your organization, but it's also really mindful about the type of job that this person's going to have. But I think you also really need to think about you again being the hiring manager of, you know, think about what you're looking for in terms of what your organization has the capacity to handle. So think about this in several ways, you know, how much, not just how much you can afford to pay them, how much compensation you can give, but also, you know, how much time you can give. Are you looking for someone who will hit the ground running right away and be able to check the boxes or as many boxes as possible? It's going to be really hard, you know, to find someone who checks all the boxes, but, you know, someone who can really do that, or someone that is looking to advance in their career and is looking for an opportunity to do that. They've been at the same role or the same organization for 3 or 4 years, and they've kind of hit the ceiling to where they can go. And they're looking for a new opportunity. Those are usually, you know, sometimes the best candidates that you can have, and they can really blossom and flourish and contribute greatly to your organization, but they will need, you know, just like any kind of young plant, they need that water and the nurturing and the care and the good soil to be in. And so, you know, do you have the capacity? Does your organization have the capacity to be able to develop that individual in that way? And if not, you know, think about how you are positioning the job description, how you are talking about what your expectations are and the qualifications that you're looking for, and be flexible, but you know, but also, you know, be realistic. You know, we all want that great. We all have that perfect candidate in mind, but be realistic about what you can handle.
Yeah, I think that's great. Going into it knowing, are you looking for a veteran, someone who's at the top of your range for this position? Or are you looking at someone who's moving into this as their next promotion and that you're gonna develop them, you know, through this job into their next step from there is it's just helpful to have a sense of that going in. And all those reasons that Stella mentioned um, is, you know, a good way to think through it. Do you have the time for the younger, you know, not necessarily younger in age, but younger in their career for this specific position or not? And I mean, we should have led with this up front. But we say it often in you've heard it in some of our other YouTube videos, but it's always worth repeating right here. When we're talking about job descriptions, you must include your salary range. There's a bunch of reasons why that is important and equitable and the best practice. We have a whole other recording of YouTube on that. So hope you'll check that out as well. But since we're specifically talking about job descriptions here, I just wanted to wrap it up by saying the salary range for the description, of course, should be in there. And, you know, based on what that range is, it also might be part of helping you figure out whether you are going for a veteran or kind of a newbie for the role. Both have amazing potential in different ways. It's just kind of a matter of how the resources for your organization come together to make one of those two scenarios a better fit. So there we go. Stella, anything you would add to wrap us up on writing that job description?
No, I don't think so. I mean, good luck, and I think just making sure that that you can attract that candidate that you want, you know, being mindful of that the entire time, and know that people are looking for what is going to make your job different, what's going to make your organization different. Because as Lori said, there are more positions out there than fundraisers looking right now. And so, you know, keeping in mind what is going to really make us stand out in the best way possible.
Yeah, there we go. So happy hiring. We wish you the best of luck in this process. It is a joyful two-way street of finding a good match. And so that job description is step one of putting it on paper and getting it out into the world. And if you have other questions on hiring, we've got some other videos in our playlist. We hope you'll check them out. And of course, feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have specific questions we can answer. Stella and my contact information is on the Thread Strategies website. So thanks so much and happy hiring.